Volkswagen just fired 50,000 people. Factories in Germany are closing for the first time in 87 years. Their profit got cut in half overnight. And if you think this is just another automaker that went too hard on EVs, you are not even close. Because Volkswagen did not make one bad decision. They have been making the same bad decision for 3 decades. Different CEO every time, same result every time, and the same people getting crushed every time. So what is it about Volkswagen that nobody can fix? And how did 50,000 workers just become collateral damage for a bet they had no say in? Subscribe, because I break down every automaker that falls apart. And trust me, VW is not the last one. Volkswagen's motto has always been Das Auto, the car, as if there is only one that matters and Volkswagen makes it. That kind of confidence built the company into a $322 billion a year empire with 10 brands, over 680,000 employees, and factories on every continent. But that same confidence is the exact thing that just blew up in their face. Because Volkswagen's leadership has spent the last 30 years making the same bet over and over. They decide from the top floor in Wolfsburg what the market should want, pour billions into building it, and then act surprised when actual customers say no thanks. And the story of how that pattern led to 50,000 people losing their jobs starts with a scandal that cost VW over $30 billion. In September 2015, Volkswagen admitted to the world that it had been cheating on emissions tests, not on a few cars, on 11 million vehicles worldwide. They had installed software in their diesel engines that could detect when the car was being tested and then adjust the emissions output to pass. On the road, those same engines were pumping out up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides. The fallout was catastrophic. Fines, settlements, buybacks, and legal fees eventually topped $30 billion. CEO Martin Winterkorn resigned. Criminal charges were filed in the US and Germany. Volkswagen stock lost more than 40% of its value in weeks. But here's the detail that everyone missed at the time. The cheating did not happen because a few rogue engineers went off script. It happened because of a corporate culture that had been rotting from the inside for years. Ferdinand Piëch, the former CEO and chairman who controlled the company through his family's majority stake, ran Volkswagen like a dictatorship. A German magazine once described the atmosphere under Piëch and Winterkorn as, quote, North Korea without the labor camp. Piëch bragged about terrifying his engineers to get results. Winterkorn hated bad news so much that one industry analyst said before anyone reports to him, they make sure they have good news. So when VW's engineers could not make their diesel engines meet US emission standards, nobody told the boss it was impossible. They just cheated, because the alternative was getting fired. And that culture, that top-down, do not question the plan, succeed at all cost mentality, that did not die with Dieselgate. It just found a new project to attach itself to. Because after the scandal, Volkswagen needed a way to prove it had changed. And the answer, handed down from the top floor yet again, was electric vehicles. All of them, all at once, bigger and faster than anyone else. Enter Herbert Diess, the new CEO brought in from BMW to clean house and steer VW into the electric future. Diess was a true believer. He told the press that VW had been lulled into thinking it was an empire, rock solid and unbeatable. His fix was to make Volkswagen the world leader in electric vehicles, and the money he committed to making that happen was absolutely staggering. In January 2021, VW pledged 35 billion euros to electrification by 2025. By December 2021, total 5-year investment commitments hit 159 billion euros, with over half going to electric vehicles and software. Then by 2023, under Diess's successor Oliver Blume, the number ballooned to 180 billion euros. That is roughly $193 billion. One company, one bet. Look, I am not saying investing in new technology is a bad idea. But when you are committing nearly $200 billion to a strategy Because you got caught cheating on the old one, maybe the motivation matters. This was not a company that woke up one morning genuinely excited about electric vehicles. This was a company that got caught with its hand in the cookie jar and needed something shiny to wave in front of regulators and investors. And that desperation showed up in every decision that followed.
The centerpiece of that desperation was CARIAD. Volkswagen decided it needed to build all of its EV software in-house, not license it from a partner, not hire someone who already knew how to do it, build it themselves from scratch. They hired thousands of software engineers, some reportedly in as little as 24 hours. And the result was a disaster that burned through over $7.5 billion in operating losses between 2022 and 2024 on just $3.5 billion in revenue. The software was so buggy that the first ID.3 hatchbacks had to be stockpiled in parking lots across Germany, waiting for fixes before they could be delivered to customers. Launch dates for the Porsche Macan EV and the Audi Q6 e-tron were pushed back roughly a year each because CARIAD could not get the code to work. By 2024, Blume essentially gave up on CARIAD doing the job, spending $5.8 billion on a partnership with Rivian to bail them out. And by October 2025, he admitted publicly that CARIAD would no longer develop its own software at all. A $322 billion company that could not write its own code. I mean, think about that for a second. But the software disaster was only one piece of it. The actual cars VW built for this electric future were the part that should have set off alarm bells everywhere. The ID.3 hatchback, the ID.4 crossover, the ID. Buzz electric minibus. These were the vehicles that were supposed to carry Volkswagen into the next era, and VW's own leadership eventually admitted they were not good enough. In November 2025, VW brand CEO Thomas Schaefer told journalists that the ID.3 and ID.4 were, quote, not true Volkswagens. He said it was clear to him that VW was losing its core, what Volkswagen really stands for, the special Volkswagen feeling. Think about what that means if you are an ID.4 owner who paid $50,000 for one. Your own CEO just told the press your car is not a real Volkswagen, and the sales numbers backed him up. In the United States, VW sold 22,373 ID.4s in all of 2025. Tesla sold 357,000 Model Ys. Hyundai moved 47,000 Ioniq 5s. Ford sold over 51,000 Mustang Mach-Es. Volkswagen was not even in the conversation. And after the federal EV tax credit expired in September 2025, things went off a cliff. In the fourth quarter of 2025, VW sold exactly 248 ID.4s in America. Not 24,000, 248. By April 2026, Volkswagen confirmed it was killing ID.4 production at its Chattanooga, Tennessee plant entirely and switching the factory back to building gas-powered SUVs. Carl Brauer, an analyst at IC Cars, said VW had positioned the ID.4 as their next Beetle, their next high-volume seller, and it just did not work. Then there was the ID. Buzz, the electric microbus that VW had been teasing since a concept at the 2017 Detroit Auto Show. It was supposed to be the halo car, the one that made people fall in love with electric Volkswagens, the nostalgia play, the new microbus for a new generation. VW hyped this thing for 7 years before it finally showed up on American dealer lots in late 2024. And when it did, it carried a base sticker of $61,545. With options, you could push it past $70,000. Range? 234 miles. For context, a Toyota Sienna starts under $40,000 and goes over 600 miles on a tank. A Kia Carnival starts around $36,000, and both of those actually sell. Toyota moved over 75,000 Siennas in 2025. Kia sold over 51,000 Carnivals. The ID. Buzz? Fewer than 5,000 in North America through most of 2025. Honestly,
60 grand for a minivan that cannot make it from Dallas to Houston without stopping to charge is a tough sell to begin with. But then VW had to recall them for third-row seats that failed safety standards, followed by a door handle stop sale that pulled them off dealer lots entirely. VW paused production at the Hanover factory in September 2025 and cut planned output by 21,000 vehicles. The Hanover plant had capacity for 130,000 units a year. They were building a fraction of that. By December 2025, Volkswagen confirmed the ID Buzz would skip the 2026 model year in the United States entirely. Volkswagen Group of America's CEO, Kjell Gruner, insisted the ID Buzz remains an important part of the Volkswagen portfolio. Sure it does.
While Volkswagen was watching its EV lineup fall apart in America, something even worse was happening on the other side of the world: China. For decades, China was VW's golden goose. In 2019, Volkswagen Group sold 4.23 million cars there. It was the single most important market in the company's portfolio. China was where VW made the money that funded everything else. Then BYD showed up. And it did not just show up. It showed up with cars that were cheaper, faster to charge, and loaded with technology that made VW's offerings look like they were built in a different century. The Chinese automaker went from a brand most Americans could not pronounce to selling 4.21 million vehicles in China in 2024. For the first time ever, VW lost its spot as the best-selling car brand in the Chinese market. And it only got worse. By 2025, VW had fallen to third place, behind BYD at 14.7% market share and Geely at 11%. Chinese domestic brands collectively reached 65% of the total market. VW's battery EV sales in China collapsed by more than 44%. And the competition was brutal. BYD, Tesla, Xiaomi, Xpeng, Leapmotor, and more than 100 other Chinese EV brands were locked in a price war that made it impossible for any company with German labor costs to compete. VW's China boss, Ralph Brandstetter, told Fortune that China's car market has lost all reason. He called 2025 a rebuilding year and said VW would sacrifice market share rather than chase prices to the bottom. That is executive speak for, we got smoked and we do not know how to compete anymore. And this is the part where things stopped being funny. Back in Germany, the weight of all of this came crashing down on the people who had nothing to do with any of these decisions. In October 2024, Fortune reported that VW management was planning to close at least 3 German factories, slash tens of thousands of jobs, and impose a 10% pay cut across the board. The company's own Works Council called the cuts historic in scale. Daniela Cavallo, head of the Works Council at Wolfsburg, stood in front of workers and said, "This is the plan of Germany's largest industrial group to start the sell-off in its home country, and that it was a clear intention to send tens of thousands of Volkswagen employees into mass unemployment." She also said what nobody in VW's executive suite wanted to hear. There is still no plan of attack on the table, no concept for the future product pipeline, no idea how to regain technological leadership. The people making the decisions had no plan. The people losing their jobs were the ones paying for it. Imagine working at that Wolfsburg factory for 15 or 20 years, showing up every day, building cars that people actually wanted to drive. And then one morning, the board announces your job is gone because the CEO bet $180 billion on electric vehicles that the company's own brand chief later called not real Volkswagens. That is not a market correction. That is a betrayal. By December 2024, around 100,000 VW workers had joined warning strikes across Germany. It was the most disruptive industrial action against the company in decades. After 70 hours of marathon negotiations, VW and the IG Metall union reached a deal. No plant closures, which was the one line workers refused to let management cross, but the terms were still brutal. 35,000 jobs would be eliminated at the VW brand by 2030,
through early retirement, buyouts, and attrition. That is more than 1 in 4 jobs at the VW brand in Germany. 734,000 units of annual production capacity would be permanently removed. That is roughly the entire output of the Wolfsburg main plant. Wages would be frozen in 2025 and 2026, bonuses slashed. The historic transparent factory in Dresden, the glass-walled showpiece originally built for Ferdinand Piech's pet project, stopped building cars entirely. The Zwickau plant in Saxony, the flagship EV factory that had been retooled at massive cost, lost every model except one and started getting partially converted to recycling. The Osnabrück plant was only guaranteed work through 2027. Production of the Golf was being moved from Wolfsburg to Mexico. Even the Chancellor's office weighed in, with a spokesman saying that wrong management decisions from the past should not be at the expense of employees. When the government is publicly calling you out for screwing your own workers, you know it is bad.
Then, in March 2026, CEO Oliver Blume dropped the next bomb. The total number of job cuts was not 35,000, it was 50,000, across the whole group, including Audi, Porsche, and what was left of Cariad. The 2025 financial results told the rest of the story. Operating profit collapsed 53% to 8.9 billion euros. Net profit dropped 44% to 6.9 billion euros. And Porsche, the crown jewel, the brand that was supposed to be bulletproof, saw its operating margin go from 18% to 0.3%. That is not a decline, that is a flat line. The company's CFO, Arno Antlitz, admitted that the operating margin was not sufficient in the long run. And somehow, the company still generated 6 billion euros in positive cash flow for the year. Workers' representatives immediately pointed out the absurdity. The company is making money, it is just choosing to cut 50,000 jobs at the same time. Meanwhile, CEO Oliver Blume collected 7.4 million euros in compensation. Former CEO Herbert Diess, who left in 2022 after pushing the EV strategy that caused all of this, still collected over 11 million euros for 2024, more than the current CEO. Total board compensation for 9 executives ran about 40 million euros for the year. They cut that by about 11% as a symbolic gesture. 40 million in executive pay, 50,000 jobs gone. You do the math on who is really paying for this mess. And if you are thinking this is the first time Volkswagen's leadership has burned billions on something nobody asked for and expected the rest of the company to absorb the damage, you would be wrong. VW has been doing this for over 20 years, and the proof is sitting in a glass factory in Dresden.
In 2002, Ferdinand Piech decided that Volkswagen needed to build a luxury sedan to compete with the Mercedes S-Class. Not through Audi, which already had the A8 and could have done it, not through Bentley, which VW also owned, through Volkswagen itself, the people's car brand, selling a 90,000 euro sedan. Nobody asked for this. No customer survey came back saying they wanted a Volkswagen that costs more than a BMW 7 Series. This was one man's decision, pushed through a boardroom that was too afraid to say no. Piech gave his engineers a list of 10 demands for the car. It had to be capable of cruising all day at 300 kilometers per hour in 50-degree heat while keeping the cabin at 22 degrees. It needed the quietest cabin in the industry, the stiffest chassis, hidden air conditioning vents because, according to Piech, rich people hate noisy air. The engineers delivered. They spent $1.5 billion developing the Phaeton and built a dedicated glass-walled factory in Dresden just to assemble it. The problem was that nobody wanted a Volkswagen that cost as much as a Mercedes. It was an incredible car with the wrong badge on the hood. The sort of people who could afford it did not want to be seen getting out of something with the same logo that sits on a Golf. When Audi's American boss publicly said the Phaeton was failing because VW had underestimated the weakness of the brand, Piech fired him. When VW's own CEO pulled the Phaeton from the US market, Piech pushed him out too. You were not allowed to tell Ferdinand Piech that his idea had failed. You either agreed with him or you lost your job. In 15 years of production,
VW built just 84,253 Phaetons against a target of 20,000 per year. Analysts estimated VW lost roughly $38,000 on every single one. Total estimated losses ran over $3 billion, and that was not even the only scandal from the Piech era. In 2005, a corruption investigation revealed that VW executives had been receiving improper perks, including trips abroad involving prostitutes, all funded by the company. Piech was untouched by the fallout. He always was. And the Phaeton was not even Piech's most expensive vanity project. He also greenlit the Bugatti Veyron, a supercar so over-engineered that Volkswagen lost an estimated $6 million on every one it sold. $6 million per car. Other executives objected. Piech pushed it through anyway, because that was how Volkswagen worked. The man at the top decided what should exist. Everyone else built it or got replaced. Now, here is the part that ties this whole story together. That glass factory in Dresden that Piech built specifically for the Phaeton. After the Phaeton died in 2016, VW converted it into an EV factory, first for the e-Golf, then for the ID.3. The same building that was built for a luxury sedan nobody wanted to buy became the building where VW assembled an electric hatchback that its own CEO said was not a true Volkswagen. And now, as of 2025, that factory has stopped building cars entirely. Again, same factory, same pattern, same outcome. 20 years apart, 3 different products, 3 different failures, one company culture that never learned. The Phaeton was leadership arrogance with a VW badge on it. Dieselgate was leadership arrogance with a defeat device in it. The Cariad software disaster was leadership arrogance with a laptop in it. And the $180 billion EV bet was leadership arrogance with a battery in it. Every time, the decision came from the top floor in Wolfsburg. Every time, actual customer demand was treated as an afterthought. And every time, it was the workers on the factory floor who took the hit. Piech fired anyone who told him the Phaeton was a mistake. Winterkorn created a culture where nobody dared report that the diesel engines could not pass emissions legally. Diess committed $180 billion to an electric future that customers were not ready for. And Blumer is the one left holding the bill. 50,000 workers are paying for it with their livelihoods. The executives are paying for it with an 11% haircut on their $40 million compensation package. If that does not tell you everything about how Volkswagen operates, nothing will. VW's 50,000 job cuts are scheduled to roll through 2030, and their next earnings report drops in the summer. Whatever comes out of Wolfsburg next, I will be here with the numbers. Subscribe so you do not miss it.